Hey everybody, welcome back to the YouTube page. So, one last video before I get into my weekend Doha so far review. I want to take one last moment to dissect what the Alberto Salazar decision means for current Nike Oregon Project athletes. I say this because it's been in the news because Jenny Simpson was asked about Alberto Salazar decision and what it means for current athletes, and essentially saying that she doesn't feel sorry that allegations will be thrown their way because this ban has been in place has been talked about for 4 years. It's always been a possibility. I talked about it in the emergency podcast, but it was something that was warned of almost from the get-go. So they would have known. So despite the fact that the current athletes are either coached by Tim Roberry or Pete Julian, and that Alberto Salazar is pretty hands-off, but he's still around, the fact is that you are the sum of the 5 people that you are spending the most time with. And if you're signing up for this program, you're signing up to be a part of this group, after knowing all the baggage that comes with it, at a certain point, you kind of signed up for that level of scrutiny. Now, to Craig Engels' credit, so Craig Engels kind of came back at Jenny Simpson, basically saying that Jenny Simpson isn't the only one that's a moral compass, that kind of saying that Jenny Simpson is saying this because people have run fast times that have come up guilty doesn't mean that everyone is guilty. And I get that to a point. And credit to Craig Engels for standing there and taking the questions and answering the questions. And I get that to a point, that just because you're associated with this group doesn't mean that you are assumed guilty, because Engels, Brazier, Murphy, even Hassan and Jelsha have come along way after this investigation has already pretty much run its course, and to a point where Salazar isn't around as much, to where they most likely have learned from what they've done previously, you would hope. And that we definitely shouldn't be assuming that they're guilty. However, there's the fact that you also aren't going to feel sorry for the fact that they're put under this scrutiny. The question that I wanted to answer is there a level of culpability here for these athletes? Should we hold the Nike Oregon Project athletes culpable for sitting here, for furthering the brand, for signing up to be a part of the Nike Oregon Project, and then, running world records, winning world championships? Is that worth the level of scrutiny that you're going to have the rest of your career? Are those gold medals, is that fame and potential career earnings worth the fact that people aren't going to judge you the same way, that people are going to see you as a potential drug cheat, that your reputation as a clean athlete is forever going to be tarnished, or at least questioned? And obviously, with the amount of money on the line, who isn't going to make questionable decisions? But I think it's a real test to your character if you have other options on the table. It's not like Nike Oregon Project is the only thing out there. There are other teams, there are other groups even within Nike. So where I say is that, we should hold them culpable. We should hold them to a certain level of scrutiny because they signed up to be a part of this program knowing full and well that sanctions are coming down. And that's what I don't understand. It's not like they were just slapped with this out of nowhere. They've known for 4 years. Most of these current crop of Nike Oregon Project athletes joined on after the fact that the USADA report had already come out by the time that Brazier and Murphy and Engels and Jessica Hull and all this current crop had signed up. So I don't think they don't get any sympathy for me, for sure. But I don't think they necessarily deserve the sympathy that they may get being lumped into the drug cheat label. And ideally they would be okay with that, because ideally they would have signed up for that. They would have known. But complaining about the fact that people are going to make assumptions about you, you should have known that that's what you're getting into. So then I wrote kind of a follow-up piece to this after Jenny Simpson had come out, before Craig Engels made his response last night. So that would be something that I would update it with. But we also need to question Nike's involvement and in Nike's culpability? And I think the answer to that should definitely be the fact that Nike's CEO is involved in email chains with Dr. Brown and with Magnus and with Salazar, kind of being in the inner circle of all this. And the fact that Nike has the largest endorsement deal with USATF, sponsors majority of track and field athletes involved in the World Championships, they should be limited with, I think there's no doubt in my mind, after this scandal, after Balco, after everything going on with Dennis Mitchell and Justin Gatlin, well, Dennis Mitchell is part of the Balco scandal, but everything also involving with Justin Gatlin, they've been on the wrong end of so many doping scandals, and yet come off scot-free, basically. I mean, they stood by Lance Armstrong until the very end, and seemed to be no worse for the wear. They're still the industry standard as far as track and field companies go, as far as dollars spent on the sport. So at a certain level, holding them responsible is a little bit of a risk because of how much involvement they have, but they also kind of hold the sport ransom because of that. And if righteousness were to have its way in this sport, then Nike would be held responsible as well, seeing the actions of former CEOs and inactions of current ones. So that's where I want to leave this video. What are your feelings on the current crop of Nike Oregon Project athletes? Do you feel like we should hold them under a certain layer of scrutiny, or do you think that we should offer them a clean slate, knowing that they are being coached by Pete Julian and not Alberto Salazar, regardless of the fact that there is still that association there? Let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, if this video made you think, give me a thumbs up. If you hated this video, give me a thumbs down, and make sure you subscribe to the page, because I'm traveling to DC, so this might be a little bit tough. But the idea is that I will come out with a more like week in review Doha episode of the podcast video sometime this weekend. Obviously the Nike Oregon Project stuff, I wanted to focus some time on that because I think it deserves a lot of attention. However, I also feel kind of bad that there's been a lot of awesome action going on the track that I haven't talked about in video or podcast form yet. But if you want my takes on that, you can follow me on Twitter at HornickerJustin. That's where I will post a lot of the stuff going on the track as it happens, and then you'll see a lot of my opinions kind of more reformed in a video form later. So anyway, thank you guys so much for giving your time. I always appreciate that I actually have people who watch me ramble on about track and field, so I definitely appreciate it. In the meantime, we'll talk soon. Stay classy, San Diego.